right, I guess I'm ready for the best intro of any podcast ever.
Are you ready for the best? And not
If I'm ready for the best, I wouldn't have chose this issue.
Oh, come on. This is a good issue. This is going to make a fantastic episode.
Backup artist in issue 2 of a comic. Always a good way to start.
You chose this.
I did choose this.
You chose this.
This is my fault.
This is on you, Dan.
Well, yeah. I mean, they can't all be good, right? I mean, they're not all US 1.
They're not all US 1. You're right. You're correct, sir. You are correct. They are not. But need we digress more?
Can I just say before we get into this, I like Ryan Sook as an artist.
Yes.
But I am not into this artist. So Morgan here.
Don't like the way that the look
and
is.
ACO drawing Ryan Sook hairstyles. So Alec Morgan, I get the, pullback faux mohawk thing. I don't know, that Ryan Sook draws, and it looks really good when Ryan Sook draws it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not into Midnighter's hair.
You're not. It's just not doing it for you. This is not a good look.
It's not a good look. It's really not a good look. It's a look. It's a choice.
It's not. Doesn't meet the Dan standards.
I didn't say it didn't meet the Dan standards. I just said it's a choice.
It's a choice. It's not a choice you would have chosen. But you did choose it.
So I will have to ask you on this cover. So we have like a Japanese sun flag cover.
Uh-huh.
Is this actual Japanese on the cover?
It is. It is. Can I tell you what it means? No, I can't, because I can't read the middle piece because, well, that is of a high school or collegiate more so than they. Basically, what happens is you've got your basic hiragana and katakana, and you've got other types of kanjis and whatnot. And when they start to make them like that middle piece, a lot of times when they are making newspapers or bigger prints with larger combinations of words to make things smaller to be only three symbols, essentially, they will take something and make it fit in that. So that probably has a lot more meaning to it, and I can't tell you what it means because I can't.
Can you tell me what the first symbol means?
It appears to be a mo. Okay. And the bottom appears to be a oh man, I'm really bad right now. It's not a,
but it is Japanese.
Yeah, it is.
We just don't know what it means.
I couldn't tell you what the middle is because, again, my level of reading is elementary school.
Where is Grandma?
She is not gonna tell us.
There'll be no guest appearance
today.
There'll
be no guest appearance. She's downstairs watching her samurai show, and she has no interest in getting on the chair and making her way up the stairs. It's going to take 2 minutes to get up the stairs and then come into the office and look at this and then slap me in the back of the head and laugh at me and tell me I'm stupid, or more accurately, baka, for asking her to read her whatever this is because I wasted her time.
Okay, well, it's an interesting cover. I have no idea who this character is. Maybe I should if I had read, but I feel like it was a first appearance. So
I thought you knew. I'm just joking.
Amazingly, I don't know everything about comics. It's hard to believe.
That's okay.
So, well, maybe we should. It's kind of a cool cover. It's like a Japanese flag with a woman standing over it with Midnighter sort of doing a I guess kung fu 70s comic type pose. It is kind of a kung fu
It
70s
is, yeah.
comic type pose.
It has a very
Homage.
it has that, or a very like a that kind of yeah, like what you'd find on a grindhouse uh movie theater, like, oh hey, this is the double feature, and you got this cool whatever, this movie, and Sonny Chiba is going to clean up in it at some point, the sister Street Fighter.
Well, I have confirmed this is the first appearance of this character, and we don't know who she is.
Oh, cool, awesome. Does she make it back in any other episodes or issues?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
I guess we'll have to find out, I suppose. All right, I guess we'll get into this.
Well, the good news is, well, anyway, we'll get into that. Okay, so yeah, we're turning the page. We get to see the alt cover too, which is weird.
Oh my!
The alt cover's like Midnighter sort of looking out at us, like he's looking through a closet door, maybe, all like weird with blood all over him, with a dead guy behind him. It's really creepy. He looks like a serial killer.
Yeah. I kind of had that feeling. Like, it's almost like the just the weird, yeah. Like, hey, I just murdered this dude, and you saw what I did. Now I'm gonna come get you.
Well, we get to the first page, and it says Oakland after a death in the family. And so I was very concerned about Robin.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
That's also where my mind went to as well. I'm not gonna lie, because I read that and I was like, oh, this is like literally right. It's in Oakland, and it's literally right after that story.
Yeah, and for a minute I was like, why are we flashbacking to like what, 1988-ish? Like, yeah, it was weird.
I don't know. I mean, it makes
but
sense.
It's a DC comic, and when you open it with after a death in the family, it's a pretty that was a big storyline in DC Comics, right? So yeah, interesting choice to open up. Do you know who wrote Batman: A Death in the Family?
Who?
Do you know?
I don't. Tell us.
Jim Starlin.
What? I hear he's coming to town.
Is he really?
Yes.
When? Never mind. We'll take this offline.
Okay.
We are going, right?
I am not going.
What?
You can go.
You have to go with me.
I can't.
Why?
Because I have to work at the store, Dan.
Now, when? Okay, we'll take this off. Wait, Jim Starlin's coming, and you can't take a break to go see Jim Starlin.
I can't.
Sure you can.
There's no time. Nope, I can't.
Sigh.
I know. It's a sad life.
Okay, so I need to go see Jim Starlin because I had him sign a book that was written by him.
Was it Death in a Family?
No, it was a Legion book. But then he wrote the follow-up book, but he called himself Steve Apollo.
Oh, yeah?
And now I want him to sign that one.
As Steve Apollo?
Well, probably as Jim Starlin, but...
Played by Steve Apollo?
I think it's also funny we're talking about Steve Apollo in reference to reading this comic book.
Which isn't that... What?
Well, Apollo makes an appearance in this comic book. So he's not called Apollo.
That's
Spoiler.
True. What?
They just call him Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah. I got Andrew and Lucas.
Andrew and Lucas. Are those even their real names?
I don't know, but we could just have like Andrew, Lucas, Hunter, and Griffin, and we could have like
a boy band,
a Gen Z boy band party.
What kind of music would they make? Here's a good question. What kind of music would it be? Would it be like, I don't know, like
it would be like boy band music, but
kind of emo.
Clearly, Lucas would be the emo of the group.
Yeah. Okay.
And he would be the one like kind of like breaking away from the group early on
Oh, to pursue his own thing with the little hair flip, and he's like, "I'm out of here, guys. I got things
with
to do.
the faux hawk.
I
Yeah,
got things to
the hair
do.
flip faux hawk. Yeah,
I'm a little
I just
dangerous."
can't believe you guys sold out to the man.
Uh,
I'm an artist and I need to think on my own and
oh,
make some music.
oh my gosh! You know who he would look like? Chris Gaines.
Or would he look like Steve Apollo?
Oh, I don't know. It's a tough
You
call.
don't
It's a
know.
tough call. I don't know. We
Mostly
don't.
because we
You know.
don't know what Steve Apollo looks like.
Well, I do, but
Well, he looks kind of like Jim Starlin, I guess.
yeah, I've seen pictures.
Honestly, Midnighter does look like Jim Starlin if Jim Starlin had that haircut.
Oh, it's oddly enough, you're kind of correct. Whoa.
Well, we're not talking about Jim Starlin. We're actually talking about a book written by Steve Orlando.
Steve Apollo.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It even says if you look up Jim Starlin in Wikipedia, it says pseudonym Steve Apollo,
That's
which
funny.
makes me so happy. Well, anyway, we can get into this. So, yeah, I should really have him sign Superboy and Legion 250 and 251
You could.
as Steve Apollo. So I could display it with my other issue that's signed by Jim Starlin.
You could.
Well, anyway.
You should.
I don't know if he'd get mad if I brought it to him because anyway, well, it's a long story.
He
so
might.
Anyway,
he might.
I don't even know if he'll remember.
He will. I hear Steve Apollo never forgets.
And Steve Apollo never. Well, anyway, back on task here. After a death in the family.
After a death in the family, man, we're still on that panel.
Conversation.
On that panel still.
No, more than 5 minutes. Good God.
Jeez.
Okay.
Our one listener is like, why am I even listening to this?
That, folks, is why it's called Funny Book Forensics.
Because we just dig down until we get to something.
Because we tore apart one panel.
That's what we did. And brought you
Well, we've got a very sad woman named Marina, apparently.
Yes.
And she gets a thing and puts it on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
She gets a thing and puts it on. She's very mad at Windcrest Foods.
Yes.
For poisoning someone. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Apparently somebody in her family had a peanut allergy. They forgot to put the peanut thing on the label and somebody died. Is that about where we're getting this?
I don't know exactly, but Pat's never coming back, and that's where we're...
Yeah, they put arsenic or something. Okay, anyway, something bad happened. Somebody died. Okay, We're in Boston now.
Yep.
Midnighter is playing pool at Al's Masse. Is that how you say that? Masse?
I guess.
Mass?
Al's Masse, the
it's
pool
Masse
hall.
Shot, right? Like it's a pool hall. Yeah. Okay, and he's hanging out playing pool with the guy we met last issue, but I have no idea what his name is still.
Al.
Oh, no? This is Al?
Maybe.
No, that's not Al, is it?
I don't know.
This was the guy at the bar with him.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he finds out that Midnighter is now single, and he tells him he can, show Midnighter some of the moves he used on the ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Midnighter's super not interested in this.
He's like, nah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, no. And then we get to...
Tony. His name is Tony.
Tony. No, Skinny Tony. Skinny Tony. We can't call people fat and skinny anymore.
No, but his name is Tony.
His name's his name is proper body shape to your own desire, Tony.
There you go.
Right. Okay.
I was just going to call him Bandana Tony, but there you go.
Yeah, and then we get to the next page, and we're back in Oakland. And 44 people are dead, and Marina is unhappy. Apparently, Patrick Lucas is dead. We heard that before. And she says, these are words for you.
These are not these symbols don't register anything to me. So
well, I was going to have you say the at least beginning part in her dialogue. But anyway.
The six killing
sounds. Lou.
The six killing sounds.
Not those words. The words right before it.
Patrick Lucas is dead. The restitution starts with you. I just
want to read the last three words of that bubble right there.
Li Xiaoju.
Thanks. I probably could have gotten that good.
There you go.
I'm just looking for, the proper way to pronounce the terms there. Well, anyway, she says symbols and people start dying. It's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she says words, people die. And then she's going through, next page, she's going through and she finds a security or a janitor.
I do want to say, I think what they might have done, and I will say this just based off of what I'm seeing here, based off of what you saw on the front cover and what you're seeing in the rest of this, is that there might be a mixture of Asian inspired language and or Asian inspired symbols. Because what's on the cover is definitely kanji and hiragana and katakana. So you got a mixture of those things, which are all Japanese. You got a Japanese rising sun, and then in here it looks more. I just couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, on that note,
could be Chinese symbols.
On that note,
could be Korean symbols.
Generic symbols, we don't know, and
they could be Korean symbols.
Well, she finds out next page. She finds out where the board is for the company she hates, and then she gets attacked by a bunch of security people and murders all of them by saying words. We back good there?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and she said words that prompted a phone call. Apparently, the oldest phone in the universe just rang. Is that your fax line there? Oh, you muted yourself to get your fax. Is it going? Is that what's going on right now? Because that's amazing. Well, I'll continue on while Greg gets his fax. And so we now, all of a sudden, Midnighter makes an appearance to fight Marina. And he says she's very creative and fun. And we get the main page here. And it's the title of the book is Midnighter ? With writer Steve Orlando, artist Alec Morgan. And we get colors by Fajardo and Alan Paseliqua, and letters by Fletcher, and ACO and Fajardo did the cover. So we had a consistent cover artist here. And so now we're moving forward here and taking a look. And it looks like Midnighter's been wiped out on the next page by the word she says, and he's down. And Marina's standing up on a table talking about being in the area with the ninth circle in the ninth circle, I would assume, of hell, talking about how she's going to take out the board, presumably. And Midnighter starts to wake up. He's like, yeah, right. Just kind of looking up at her, using his magic super computer brain to figure stuff out. And we get another page, and Midnighter's got blood all over him. Presumably, Midnighter's had blood all over him for the vast majority of this series. So this isn't very uncommon. I feel like he's not comfortable, or maybe the blood just stays on his costume. I mean, that's entirely possible.
He never really cleans it. He never
Hey, you're
cleans it.
back.
I
You're
was
back.
never gone. I don't even know what you're talking about. I was here all along, just like the blood on Midnighter.
Well, that's true. You kind of are like the blood on Midnighter, just always kind of there.
Always kind of there. That's
Well,
why he dresses
anyway,
in black, because you can't see the blood.
or he's Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Midnighter's headed up some stairs and he's headed outside and somehow he snuck out of the room. He's pretty good at his job. He snuck out of the room. He's using his super tactical computer to pull out his grappling hook,
Yeah.
I guess, and ties it, and swings in. And he's so good, he swings in and exactly kicks Marina in the face.
Pow! That's not very nice, but he does.
Well, that's how we
Exactly.
do things. And then we get a flashback or a flash forward. Sorry, to the next day.
He's in Moscow. What?
And he's back out on a date, but
just so you know, you got to see the last issue, Chris.
Yeah, well, and this was after his other friend. No, Tony was his date, right? That's where you're messing up. I don't think Tony was the guy in the front.
Tony was the guy at the pool hall. He even said...
Tony was the guy he broke up with, right?
No, his name was Tony at the pool hall. He said,
What?
Hey, Tony. Yada, yada, yada.
Are you sure? Well, who did he say he broke up with at the pool hall?
I don't know, Dan.
Well, anyway, his friend last issue that he was having sex with is no longer his friend. And he has a new friend. Jason, yeah. It's hard to keep track. There's just a lot of relationship
Midnighter
changes.
is all about making friends.
He's about making friends. That's, you know what? Midnighter, about making friends. I'm going to officially change the title of this book. Midnighter, about making friends. The new title of this book. And so, yeah, now he's talking to his new friend. He says, when I met you, I was wearing, or his friend says, when I met you, I was wearing an exploded entree and Madoran gun with a Madoran gun to my head. Okay, that's exciting. We remember that from last issue.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're in Moscow. It's good times.
Oh, this is the guy. This is the
other guy.
It was on the floor.
He took out on the date, to Moscow.
No, but this is that was Jason he took to Moscow, and this is the dude that was on the floor.
The floor. Now he took another guy to Moscow. He's good at finding people.
This is the guy. He picked this guy up off the floor. He's making Midnighters, making friends. Left and right.
Making friends, huh?
Everywhere. He's making them.
Well,
and he's taking them all over the world.
He definitely is wearing an amazing tank top here, an American flag tank top. It's exactly always what I thought Midnighter would be wearing.
Just like, hey, I'm just wearing jeans and an American flag tank top, like I just rolled out of Old Navy.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, that's an interesting artistic choice. Based on what we've read so far, it didn't seem like Steve Orlando would put him in the top. Maybe Steve Apollo would, but Steve Orlando probably not. Is
it just because he's in Moscow, but he's dressing like an American?
I guess. I mean, it seems to be what happens when you change artists, though, right? Midstream. Yeah. I mean, in the second issue, you've got. Anyway, let's get to the next page so I can complain about it.
I can also see the hair thing in this one now. I'm like,
yeah, let's get the next page. Okay, so they're in Moscow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we have to, have the obligatory point out of how much Russians hate gay people, and he beats them up. All right, great. Super excited to see this in a comic. Yay.
Yep. He puts his fingers right up in the nose.
Yeah, that was a great response on your part, too. I mean, I hate this scene, quite frankly.
I mean, it's there. Your question last time we recorded was about the is representation, like, are certain things, are they put into things for a reason? Is this type of thing put in for what, I guess, we understand the context. We know that, like you said, you pointed out, Russians don't like gay people, and
Well, yeah, but yes, I pointed that out, and we'll get into that in a second. Yeah.
and is this scene overly extraordinary for that reason?
It's violent. It's like a punch a Nazi scene, right? But my
Mm-hmm.
problem here is like okay, this guy says, that real men drink here, blah blah blah. There's like I get what he's saying. He tells him his girlfriend to leave. There's no slurs here, which I'm glad there's probably no slur in the book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like when we're having the punch a Nazi thing, right? Like it's okay because there's an identifiable piece. Like the person's identifying as a Nazi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I understand that Russians pass laws that are anti-gay and have pursued gay people and all that. And I know that like the government is anti-gay, but I really don't like this. Like there's just no reason for it in the story, right? Like it just shows up, right? All of a sudden they're out
Mm-hmm.
drinking in a bar in Russia, and then all of a sudden they get in a fight. Like, why? Like, why are they there? Right? Because they just wanted to go to Moscow?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was he going there to intentionally pick a fight on a date for the first time?
Yeah. No,
Like,
this is good. This is a good like good question, and oops,
what is the point?
yeah, what's the point? And it's like, is it overly, is it necessary?
It's
Is
a
it
thing
just
that
for the sake of
happened.
being there? Is it
It's
happening?
violence for the sake of violence. Like,
Yeah.
it's this, like, strikeout thing, like, I'm gay, I got picked on, so now I'm going to beat the shit out of somebody, right? Like, it really pisses me off. It also, like, I'm getting madder about it as I think about it. It's just,
No.
like, yeah, have I wanted to do this to somebody else? I mean, you know me, so
Yeah.
for a billion reasons, I wanted
Yeah.
to do that to somebody else. But, like, I'm not going to, like,
I've been with you when things like this have happened.
yes, but I didn't put
But
the
you didn't.
person into the ground, which I
No,
could have easily done.
you didn't act out in that way because they're
You have seen me at my very worst when somebody like verbally
yeah,
did things that were
yeah. They actually
verbally assaulted.
it could have required this type of action against them because of what they said, but it didn't get it because you are a different person than this shows this type of like it
There's
doesn't.
also, to me, like maybe he's just extremely competent, but there's a lot more trauma that goes with something like
Yeah.
this. Like anyway.
Yeah, no,
All right.
no, your point, I totally get what you're saying because I see a lot of this sometimes in other stories and other things, and it's like, why put characters in a situation like that if you're not, if it doesn't serve a purpose outside of just showing a violent act for a violent act's sake. It doesn't drive the story anymore. It doesn't
Yeah.
give us any context as to who this person is and why they would do this
Now,
outside.
in contrast, right? Like I grabbed a Kickstarter book by Joe Glass called Glitter Vipers,
Mm-hmm.
which was an intentionally grindhouse piece, and basically a drag queen and a group of folks go out and beat up gay bashers.
Uh-huh.
But it's a grindhouse piece.
Yeah.
There's camp to it. It's pretty clear the other people are just really bad.
Yeah.
Like it was almost fun, right? In the sense of it,
Yeah.
like this is not fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they had a purpose for what they were doing. This is just like, I'm going to fight this guy in a bar because he moderately said something that I don't agree with.
And just side note,
Yeah.
go grab some of Joe Glass's stuff on Kickstarter. He's great.
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. Everything I've gotten from Joe Glass has been phenomenal. And if you want to talk about representation, there you go.
Well, then people go find those Kickstarters, find Joe Glass, and if he's not running a campaign right now, they're not running a campaign, the team there, then save it in your saves.
Save
And
it. Yeah,
yeah.
I think he just finished up a campaign. But he's got some projects he loves too. He's really good about reaching out and letting you
Oh,
know. So
so then there's good suggestions. Then that's I love it when people that are running Kickstarters throw out the suggestions, because if there's stuff that they like that's on their radar, then you should check it out too.
yeah, and again, I'm probably overanalyzing this one page and this next page, but I guess again, it is Funny Book Forensics you're listening to, where we analyze the story in the book and things like that, and I'm making comparisons. Y'all may disagree with me, and that's okay. I mean, if you do, reach out to us. We're happy to get feedback.
Your comparison to, or you analyzing this is like when Saul and I on Nurse in the Crypt talk about a movie that has a rape scene in it, and it's just like, at that point I just check out, because what's the point of having that in there? It doesn't drive the story. It doesn't need to be in there.
Yep.
And we could have just done without that movie at all. So
well, it's like violence for the sake of violence, right? And then they just leave. And the only comment from his friend here is he asked him if he washed his hands.
Yeah. Well, because he had his fingers up this guy's nose, Who knows?
That's gross.
Who knows?
Well, we're back in Oakland again in the earlier time. So we went the next day, and now we're earlier. Okay, this is interesting how this flows.
Yeah. Does she have an alien on her body? Oh my gosh. It's like a face hugger. It's a face hugger on her chest.
Well, he breaks her tech.
Oh,
basically is what's happened. And she got her tech from that garden place, I think.
Garden Grove? So that's just down the street from, it's just a couple hours away.
Yeah, I took a trip to Garden Grove, and it smelled like Blue Dog inside the van.
Did it? Okay. Oh, man.
Yeah. Yep. I went to a record party, $2 at the door. Just feels so. Anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, like, all one person that gets what I'm doing right now.
I get what you're doing.
So
I appreciate it.
We're back in, and Midnighter takes out her tech, and everybody thinks they're safe, because of course they do, because he saved them from the crazy lady, Marina, right?
Yeah.
And then he starts breaking hands of the board members while Marina watches, and she looks terrified because, again, maybe the only sane person in here. She was striking out in rage, and now she's watching somebody commit the violence that she was about to do, and she's like,
"What's going on?"
Wow,
he's shaking and breaking, shaking and breaking.
So now they go back to Moscow for what's called the victory lap here, which I presume is a victory lap for both things: beating up the person in the bar and breaking the hands of the people in the boardroom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And okay, and honestly too, like I guess, I mean, I'm less offended by him breaking the hands of people that presumably murdered people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they did something
like
wrong.
A punch a Nazi type thing.
Yeah. I mean, like if there was more context as to what they had done wrong, then.
Oh, there's enough context. They murdered a bunch of people by, ignoring warnings and stuff.
Yeah. No, there's all that context. The other thing,
yeah,
that makes sense.
The other guys are just people at a bar who are assholes.
Yeah, assholes, jerk faces.
I wish I could beat up every asshole.
Oh man, you'd have a
but
lot.
I don't. It's the cool point.
You'd have
grown-ups.
You'd have just a pile of assholes.
Moscow victory lap. Not going to touch that one. So now. They're having a nice conversation. It's him and Matt again, and they're wandering around Moscow, and they're chatting it up. Next page, and they're about to have some barbecue. Shoshglin, and he starts talking about Andrew again, and Matt's asking about Andrew.
Oh.
He's like, I hope I measure up, because all Midnighter's doing is talking about Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
This is some gay drama at its finest right here.
Yeah, well, I
I
mean,
just watched this in season 1 of Queer as Folk, where Michael can only talk about Brian with his new boyfriend all the time.
I think it's just, I mean, it is just general relationship stuff. You're with somebody new, and all you can do is talk about the old stuff, and
That must
they're
be great for
just,
the new person.
oh, it's got to have just imagine the self, like, one, their self-worth like meters just like continually going down every time you mention the other person, right? And then secondly, they're like, they're continually, like you said, just like, how do I measure up? Because every time Midnighter says something about Andrew, like, there's, yeah, the self-worth has gone down, and the bar has just risen up higher and higher and higher.
Yep. Well, when we flip the page and we flip the page and we get another flashback to months earlier in,
Opal City.
and who is the most prominent member of Opal City?
Richie Rich.
No.
Oh. Um uh Andrew.
No.
Oh. Apollo.
No.
Oh. Midnighter?
No.
Oh. I don't know.
It's James Robinson's probably most famous comic book series,
Tell
mid
me, Dan.
90s.
Tell me,
Jack
Dan.
Knight, Starman.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Okay, fine. The elongated man in Sudivni also lived there for a while.
Never heard of it.
Oh my god, you're making me so frustrated right now.
I don't even know what that means.
Opal City, Starman.
I thought that movie was okay.
Oh, oh god.
I don't
Stop it.
understand. I mean, like, you find a man out in the woods that doesn't know anything about the world. What are you going to do? He just points to the sky and says, "You're the star."
Honestly, like, you know what? I'm totally okay with this because you did not make a joke about, Midnighter living in the city where the most famous superhero carries around a cosmic rod. So I'm glad you didn't do that. So
that would be
I'm actually okay with all of the rest of everything you said.
That would be very uncool
Of you.
Yeah. Why would I?
Yeah.
That's
Why would you do that? Why would you make a joke like that?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm totally glad you didn't go into that territory because I just realized where that could have gone, and then I was like, you know what? All of this was fine. Well, we are in Opal City, and there is Andrew and Lucas, who's not Lucas.
He's Lucas with a lid off because he has all
He's
his
not
hair.
Lucas,
Look at all his hair.
Look at all that hair. I do. Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
You don't like it because you've only seen it without. You've seen his post-breakup haircut.
Yeah, it's much better. Post-breakup haircuts are always much better.
Post-breakup haircuts are almost always better.
That's his comfortable haircut. We're comfortable. I'm okay. I'm going to wear my hair like kind of finger length and messy. Not edgy and cool. Like I could be in a boy band.
Well, Apollo's got a shirt on 2 sizes too tight, which I'm okay with. And
he looks like Richie Rich. He's grown up Richie Rich.
And here we go. Well, they get into it. They're fighting, and Midnighter's self-loathing. You're right. He is the emo boy. But what am I supposed to say? Midnighter's just a nameless, homeless fight robot. You deserve better. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. And then Andrew starts yelling at him back, complaining he still works. Then Midnighter / Lucas / Midnighter kisses him and then leaves because, okay.
I already know how this is going to end.
Flashback over.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, he knows how it's going to end because he has a fight computer.
Oh man.
Well, now Marina's in jail in Massachusetts. Were they in Oakland?
Yes.
That is Marina, right? Yeah,
I
it is. Okay, so they're talking. Okay.
yes, I think
So
so.
she's in Massachusetts in jail.
Excuse me.
So that's one hell of an extradition treaty right there.
Unless he's in Massachusetts and she's in jail in
Oh,
Oakland.
okay, that's possible. But it does say Bridgewater, Massachusetts, right over her.
It's a comic book. Sometimes they mess those things up. I mean, what?
Oh, you would never mess something up in your comic book.
Yeah, no, totally.
I've read all of them and they're all perfect. So now
Oh.
we're now she's talking.
I'm crying because it's not true. What an artist calls after something like this has happened and said, "How could you let this happen?" I'm like, you drew it. I could have. You drew it. You wrote it.
Now
did.
they're talking, and Midnighter heads down a corridor of some sort.
Oh man, it's gonna go bad.
Is it? I don't know. They're chatting. I mean, they're friends now because they have something in common.
Yeah, because she did the right thing the wrong way, just like him.
He did the wrong thing the right way.
Yeah.
So they give, and we see Midnighter, and all of a sudden there's a guy that looks a lot like Multiplex in the background. Do you want to guess what Multiplex's powers are?
He can show a bunch of movies on multiple screens.
That's exactly it.
Oh my gosh, I am good.
Yeah, he is the Multiplex.
Oh man, kind of looks like OMAC.
He does not look like OMAC.
I'm just joking. Midnighter looks like OMAC.
Oh, Midnighter looks like OMAC. Okay.
With his cowling off, yeah.
Midnighter sort of looks like Midnighter. It's like Batman.
When he doesn't have the cowl on.
Midnighter is kind of looking like in this scene, where he's going into the subway. He sort of looks like, like when we were little kids and you'd go to like Kmart, whatever, and it would be like the fake superhero that looks just like that looks like the real superhero and has a slightly different name.
Yeah. That's yes.
Batman, it would be like, I don't know, Cockroach Man or something like that.
Yes. Oh, Blue Beetle.
Yeah. No. Stop it.
I'm just joking. Cockroach Man. Yes.
And anyway, it's kind of looking like that. He's definitely a lurker here too.
Oh yeah, he's like walking in like, oh hey.
But anyway, he starts laughing and he's all excited. Marina's like, "Why? What are you laughing at?" And then Midnighter turns around and Multiplex is like everywhere. He's on all the screens.
Everywhere.
He's on every screen. Yep. And it says, because it's a comic book, to be continued.
Yep.
And then we flip a page and it says, he can predict your every move, but no one can predict what he'll do next. Are you ready? Midnighter by Steve Orlando and ACO as an advertisement in a comic book where they have a backup artist for ACO.
Oh, man.
Okay, so, I understand that bad marketing happens sometimes. Number one, why are you running a house ad for your own book in the same book?
Page count?
But wouldn't you run a house ad for one of the other new DCU books?
No, because
would that make more sense?
Turn the page, Dan. You're gonna have your mind blown right out of your skull.
The new DCU,
Whoa!
Yeah. So
look,
there are 1, 2, yeah. There are all these different house ads they could have run, maybe for that amazing Dr. Fate series.
Nobody cares.
That came out. Nobody cares. I hate you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. What about another
one? The Black Canary series.
Nobody cares.
Batman Beyond, or Starfire, or...
You know why they ran a Midnighter ad?
Books.
You know why they ran a Midnighter ad in a Midnighter book?
Men.
You want to know? because people that are reading Midnighter are here for Midnighter, and Midnighter is here to make friends.
Come on, it's really stupid to run a house ad for the. That's stupid.
I'm with you. I think they could have run any of these other ads. There's 9 other advertisements that they could have run.
I mean, why are we reading this? We could be reading the Paul Levitt, Sonny Liu, Dr. Fate book that came out at the exact same time as this book.
You know, because you chose this.
Yep.
For good reasons.
No, for good reasons. Well, I mean, again, I choose a book for June because we decided to choose a book for June.
Yeah.
And then I just complain about the representation in the book for the entire book.
No, but I find it great because there are tons of other books that we could have read, but we chose a mainstream-ish, like a book that wasn't mainstream that became mainstream that has representation, but is, I'm going to say, a mixed bag of representation.
Sure.
If that's fair.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could have read anything from a myriad of different Kickstarters. We could have read Cardboard Kingdoms. We could have read anything out there. And this is what we're reading. And it brings to light a lot of different things, draws a lot of questions as to, different types of things. And I think it's exactly what we need for Funny Book Forensics.
To analyze something.
Yeah.
If it was perfect, then it wouldn't be very much fun to analyze.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. If it was perfect, in a perfect world where everything was perfect, representation was on point, and everything was just the way that we wanted it. Why would we want to discuss it except for to just say, go read this. It's a great book. There you go. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. And I certainly am criticizing some pieces of it, obviously. Right. But I think the other, there are pieces I like about it, right? Like in the sense that you're watching somebody's life play out.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're, it's not like they're going out of their way to make him a stereotype or anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are good pieces, but then just some of it seems really forced, right? It's like, let's go to a bar and beat up a homophobe.
I think they're telling a relationship story from a standpoint of they're telling a story that has relationships in it from a standpoint of a gay character and putting in a couple of things that may make sense because they make sense. Okay, this guy has these issues, but we're not going to really get into them. And this other guy may have, he could have said these things, but we didn't see it in the panel. We didn't see it in the page. It's kind of difficult to tear up or whatever, but also Midnighter might have his own baggage in the background, right? That we just don't know. As new readers of the New 52, if you hadn't read any of this in the past.
Or no, this is the DCU.
Yes. I'm sorry, the DCU. I apologize.
YOU. Well, it's hard to keep track of all their relaunches, so admittedly. But yeah, it's a story, and it will keep going next week as we do issue 3, but
here's a question, and this is just for my own, and maybe as far as as we're speaking representation and from the creative team that put this together, do you know anything about the background of the creative teams that have worked on this book, and how does that play into their creation of these characters? And do you think are they writing and creating a story that is, okay, we're telling the story that is this, and we have no we're just telling the story, or we're telling the story and we have this input because this is from our own fabric?
Yeah, I mean, so Steve Orlando Steve Orlando had a couple runs at the character,
Mm-hmm.
and so and citing the best source ever, Wikipedia, but we're gonna cite the link here in Wikipedia in a second. But yeah, I mean, he got nominated for some awards for some of this stuff, and then um, it's I guess he it says this was one of the 20 best comics for 2015 by somebody, and oh, these are opinion pieces. So somebody in Gizmodo says Midnighter is the best portrayal of a gay superhero in mainstream comics in a July 1st, 2015 article.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I guess,
obviously somebody thought differently than I did. I certainly bought them.
yeah.
So,
I'm imagining at the time, prior to 2015, you're going in and you're finding not a whole lot of representation in your mainstream comics.
no, you're finding more and more, but yeah, I mean,
I guess my question is, like, was it more like, do you feel like it's true? It's.
I mean, if we're saying mainstream comics, then sure, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see the fact that there is representation.
Yeah.
then that's, I guess, a success.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I guess you're
yeah,
getting a lot more now, like,
I guess. I mean, really,
several years later,
where?
more or less, but in a lot of the, I guess you're getting it more on the imprints and more
Yeah,
not in the straight up uh ones, and the big two, more in their imprints, and definitely a lot of the independents for sure.
I would agree with that. Or there's a lot of cases, but there's just also a lot of different ways to get characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then too, I guess at least, well, I mean, it's 3 years out of date now, but like I don't know, like this sort of transformation that a Connor and Palmiotti did with uh, Harlequin and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
where it was just Harlequin was just bisexual, right? It wasn't a big deal,
Yeah.
and she could sleep with men or she could sleep with Poison Ivy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it just was part of the story. And then she was Harlequin, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it just, there's different levels, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's obviously that version of the character still going on. And obviously, might as well bring it up, the controversial cartoon that DC Comics just censored. So I wasn't even bridging to that, but they're still using that version of the character, right? Even
Yeah.
after Connor and Palmiotti have left the company and are doing their own stuff,
Yeah.
they're now using that as a cartoon. And so obviously there was the Batman controversy, but I guess that wasn't really my focus. Like
No,
of it,
but
you watch the cartoon and it's very much, it's farcical with some of the characters and things like that, but the character's very fluid with her sexuality, right?
mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think you have had some interesting presentations in mainstream comics, but yeah, I mean, this is, I don't want to say problematic. I mean, I think people like it, right? Like it won awards, but
Yeah.
then like to me, what I don't like, I think we were pointing it out, like you pointed out, and like the same as in the 70s, like grindhouse movies or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like to create a violent rape scene
Yeah.
for the sake of having a violent rape scene, or in horror, right?
Yeah.
Or, to back to Gail Simone's, Women in Refrigerators,
Mm-hmm.
right? Original blog post, right?
Yeah.
The whole notion of creating violence just for violence sake. And in this case, it doesn't even really drive the story, right? Like I could read both issues of the story without him ever beating up that guy in the bar.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact the story at all.
It doesn't make it's almost like there's two bar scenes in these two issues that you could not even have in there. in my opinion. The whole entire dialogue heavy bar scene that happens in issue 1, and then the whole entire fight scene in this one, like you're saying, it is they're null. There's
They're just dead points in the story.
yeah, they're just, they don't bring anything to the table.
It's like a good editor would have cut that out.
Unless a
bad editor cut it in a way that made these scenes make no sense.
Possibly. I mean, we're not there in the room or with the notes to tell, but the I guess from a reader's perspective, and maybe even from a learning perspective for anybody that's out there that's wanting to create things on their own, if you're creating scenes and you read them back and it leaves nothing to the imagination or doesn't give you any desired effect, what's the point? And then 2, if there's either too much information that's left out because we don't know why he's acting out, or why a character's acting out, or why a character would even be put into a situation that this type of thing would happen, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Or give me some character development, right? Instead of that scene, let me find out more about Matt. Like, if you really want representation, let's find out why these two people are interested in each other.
Yeah, exactly. What was it? Was it a little bit of little hero worship action? Yeah, and all of us, like literal and figurative. Like, Midnighter is a figurative hero in his eyes, but he's a literal hero because he saved him. So is that why this date is happening, like 100%? And all of a sudden it's like, oh hey, now I'm like a spectator in your life on this other level.
And that's really all I'm digging for here. So interesting. Yeah, I mean, interesting story. I don't know if I'd call it a good story, but it was pretty basic. Honestly, I'm not going to call it a good story, right? Like, I thought it was pretty basic in the sense that the plot was pretty basic, right? It seemed a lot. Wow, I'm really getting critical, but it seemed very contrived, right? We're going to introduce a character in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to have an arbitrary thing happen to her family.
Yep.
She seems to be a one-off character in the story, which I'm okay with one-off stories, but she's written out of the story real fast. So who seems to be the focus of the story is almost written out of the story almost immediately, right? And then reappears at the end for some reason. We're not really sure why Midnighter's talking to her.
Or why he's made her an asset.
They share something in common for some reason. Is it their rage they share in common, perhaps? I mean, we're not there yet. So, I mean, I probably should give Orlando a chance to get there, right, with the characters. So I'm probably rushing to judgment there.
Well,
assuming that character even shows up again.
You make a good point, though. Is like, I mean, we're introduced to this character, and for the reasons that they're even brought into the story, where it's glossed over. Like, okay, so someone they loved died at the hands of these people, but how and why? It's very loose. It's very loose, and it's hard. It's like, okay, yes, death is bad. And we've all had bad things happen, and we can understand that. But I mean, a little bit more gives us a little more buy-in and makes it a little more tangible for us to want to follow along with that. But then it just pop them back out of the story and make them not there at all, and also kind of like not really explain their power set that they're using or their device. Outside of, okay, it's words, and how does it affect the people? Is it like churning their insides? Is it destroying their ears? Is it making them explode? Whatever. I mean, I was kind of lost. And like, how is Midnighter avoiding this? Because I would miss that as well. Maybe I'm a dumb. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it is very interesting, but this will continue. So.
No, actually, I want to know what happens with multiplex. I want to know what's showing on the screens. I want to know what movie he's going to see. Is it going to be the new Fast and the Furious? I hope so. But then again, also I hear there's other films out there that you could see as well.
Yeah. So I just thought multiplex was a representation for the repetitiveness of movies and retelling of storylines by having somebody named multiplex with the same uniform all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. That makes sense.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, this conversation cannot continue.
Okay, you're killing it now because Cthulhu has told you to end it.
Well, Cthulhu does run my life, and the Lords of Order, which would have made an appearance if we read Dr. Fate by Paul Levitz and Sonny Liu. However, we didn't choose that.
That's
we chose Midnighter by Steve Orlando. So, we could have had an appearance of the Lords of Order, but in this case, we have a Midnighter story, and that's going to bring the end of the Midnighter story. Do you have anything going on that I need to know about on this podcast?
I have nothing going on that you need to know about.
Or that I'm allowed to know about.
That you are allowed to know about. Nothing at all.
Okay. Well, then on that note, one listener, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Mothership, thank you for listening. John, hope you feel better soon. And
yes.
Anything else?
Oh, you know what? Well, I mean, stay tuned. I'm sure the Mothership will announce and talk about and divulge this information as John, who we just mentioned, is key and instrumental in all those things. But the Eins anthology, which myself and Travis and a myriad of other fantastic creators, writers, artists, and other folks, and John was the man in charge of the whole entire Eins anthology, is actually out and about in the world, and he will be getting it out to folks, and I think he wants to do something at the Retro Emporium.
Oh, okay. Well, I love the Retro Emporium, and sometimes anyway. No, that's not true all the time. I threw you through a loop there, didn't I?
Yeah, no, my grandma.
Oh, okay. Well, on that note, then, thank you for listening to this episode of Funny Book Forensics. I'm Dan.
And I'm Greg.
And we're out of here. Until next time.